drones armed with explosives were detonated at that ceremony. But was it something else?
The big push in Ohio, President Trump's full court press to help a Republican candidate locked in a tough election as he feels the fallout from insulting hometown hero LeBron James. And is Melania perhaps taking King James's side here?
Wild weather, this small town devastated by a tornado. While in the west, this deadly fire burns out of control and claims a seventh life.
Dueling protests. An extreme right-wing group taking to the streets of Portland, facing off with counter-protesters, skirmishes breaking out. This reporter injured. The weapons confiscated at the scene.
And this morning, Serena's struggles, dropping out of next week's big tennis tournament just days after the most lopsided defeat of her career. What may be behind her decision?
Live from ABC News in New York, this is Good Morning America.
Good Sunday morning, everyone. Good morning, America. Both Ron and Rob have the morning off, but we are happy to have the lovely and talented Eva Pilgrim with us on the desk once again.
Yes.
Great to have you, Eva. And Sam Champion is here with the weather this morning.
We're hiding him for now.
Just for now.
He will be on soon.
Just for now.
I promise. I promise. We begin here, though, with the breaking news overnight. A possible assassination attempt playing out on live television. Look at this. The controversial president of Venezuela giving a speech when, according to government officials, an attack is launched via drones carrying explosives.
And you can actually see bodyguards rushing in to shield the president. Meanwhile, many of the soldiers breaking rank and running away. So many questions here. Was this really an assassination attempt or something else? ABC's Ariel Reshef is here with more. Ariel?
Good morning, Eva. Chaos erupted on the streets of Venezuela as officials say explosives suddenly dropped from the sky. The Venezuelan president believed to be the target. This morning, the State Department warning U.S. citizens in the country to shelter in place.
Overnight, dramatic video showing pandemonium as Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro dodged an apparent assassination attempt. The South American leader and his wife wincing as they look to the sky. Audio on this live state broadcast going silent, the camera cutting away. On stage, his security detail quickly shielding the president from what Venezuelan officials say were explosives allegedly dropped from drones. Maduro was attending the 81st celebration of the Venezuelan National Guard. Soldiers seen breaking rank and scrambling amid the chaos. Maduro unharmed and defiant, addressing his country following the incident, saying this was an attempt to kill me. Today they attempted to assassinate me, placing blame squarely with the far-right opposition, also accusing neighboring Colombia of colluding, saying Colombian President Juan Santos was involved. Claims the Colombian government calls baseless. Maduro even saying he believes those who financed the attack are in Miami, and he hopes President Trump is willing to fight the terrorist groups. But the Associated Press reporting firefighters at the scene dispute the president's account, saying the incident was actually a gas tank explosion inside a nearby apartment. This comes at a time when the country has been rocked by anti-government protests, opposition groups blaming the president for chronic food and medicine shortages.
And Venezuelan officials say several people were injured. The U.S. State Department is urging Americans not to travel to the country as it is under the second highest travel advisory. U.S. officials saying American citizens already in Venezuela should keep a low profile, avoid crowds, and guys, avoid demonstrations.
Quite a scene.
Very dangerous.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Ariel. We move on now to domestic politics. President Trump passing on an opportunity to double down on a feud.
A rare passing for him. This happened at a rally, or rather, more accurately, did not happen at a rally overnight in Ohio. The president declining to fire more shots in his ongoing war of words with hometown hero LeBron James. But is the First Lady taking LeBron's side? ABC News White House correspondent Tara Palmieri has more from Columbus. Tara, good morning to you.
Good morning, Dan and Eva. It's his third stop on the trail this week, and he left the LeBron James controversy on the bench, instead stopping in states he won: Pennsylvania, Ohio, Florida, where Republicans face tough races ahead. Overnight, President Trump riling up an overheated crowd in Ohio, days ahead of a crucial special election.
This room was not designed quite for this crowd. And you people are hot. So much for my brand new beautiful suit.
Republican congressional candidate Troy Balderson neck and neck with his Democratic challenger Danny O'Connor in the Republican stronghold that President Trump won by 11 points. And it's the last special election before the midterms, seen as a bellwether for an expected Democratic wave.
Vote for Troy Balderson. He's going to help everybody. They're going to get the job done. I mean, the fact is we need more Republicans.
But first, President Trump igniting a controversy with one of Ohio's own, three-time NBA champion LeBron James, originally from Akron. This after James told CNN's Don Lemon that the president is using sports to divide the country.
What I noticed over the last few months, that he's kind of used sport to kind of divide us.
President Trump firing back in a tweet, quote, LeBron James was just interviewed by the dumbest man on television, Don Lemon. He made LeBron look smart, which isn't easy to do. I like Mike, an apparent reference to Michael Jordan. But Jordan is siding with the current king of the NBA, saying in a statement, quote, I support LJ. He's doing an amazing job for his community. First Lady Melania Trump's communications director also taking a different position, supporting James, saying, quote, her platform centers around visiting organizations, hospitals, and schools, and she would be open to visiting the I Promise school in Akron. But in Ohio, the president leaving behind the James feud, instead praising another one of the state's luminaries, Republican Congressman Jim Jordan, who has been embroiled in a scandal over whether he ignored sexual abuse when he was a wrestling coach at Ohio State University. Jordan denies the allegation.
What a great defender he's been. What courage. I'll tell you what, there's a brave, tough cookie. I don't want to wrestle him. He's tough.
That Ohio crowd seemed to be standing by Jordan, giving him a hero's welcome, even chanting Speaker of the House. He's seen as a top contender for that leadership role. That is, if the Republicans keep the House. Guys?
And that's a big question. Tara, thank you so much. A lot to talk about here. So let's bring in our chief anchor, George Stephanopoulos, who's hosting This Week later this morning. Good morning, sir. So Trump was on the stump, I think, 3 times this week. He's said that he's going to be engaged in the midterms all the way through. When he goes out and campaigns, is it good or bad for the local Republicans?
Well, what we've seen so far is that when he gets involved in a primary race and goes out there at the last second, either coming out on the stump or sending out a tweet, it helps that person win the primary, a Republican primary. The big question for the general election, the midterms, the special election coming up in Ohio on Tuesday is when Trump goes out there, the race is already all about Trump. But does he end up driving Republicans to the polls, guaranteeing a victory, or does he drive even more Democrats to the polls? That's the real open question. But the fact that he had to go to this district 3 days before a special election, this was a district that he won by 11 points. This is a Republican, rock-hard Republican district. Before the president's appearance yesterday, it had become a dead heat.
It should be an easy win. Let's talk about this battle with LeBron. This is not good for the public discourse. But Melania's camp then releases that statement, as you saw in Tara's piece, that said she would be open to visiting the school in Akron. Do you think that she's taking sides here, or is this just a coordinated effort to mitigate the damage that's been done?
What do you think?
Probably the latter?
Oh, no.
The former?
I think she's saying what she thinks. I think she's having her communications director say what she thinks. I mean, if this were coordinated, the president could take it back if he wanted to by himself. He could have said something yesterday if he wanted to. And I think we've seen evidence of this before. When the First Lady feels strongly about something, she's not afraid to put out what she thinks.
Or wear it on her jacket and say,
Exactly. So you also have Jay Sekulow on the show today. He's a key member of Trump's legal team. This is a big week for Trump as far as deciding if he's going to participate in the special investigation, any indication as to how
Well, we're going to ask
go?
him about that, whether he's going to agree to an interview. They've been dragging out these negotiations for months so far. We did report earlier this week that Special Counsel Robert Mueller has agreed to limit some questioning, but still wants to also stick to some questions about obstruction of justice as well. We're heading into the end game on that decision, and it's really a game of chicken now between the president and Robert Mueller. Who's going to back down first? Will the president submit to an interview, or will he tough it out and force the possible subpoena from Robert Mueller? That's a big decision for Mueller as well. But it's one of the questions we're going to ask Jay Sekulow today. Also going to talk about that new reporting in the Washington Post this morning, that one of the things that may have precipitated the president's outburst this week is more increasing concern about his son, Don Jr., and his possible implication in all this. A lot to cover with Jay Sekulow.
And if there's a subpoena, what kind of crisis could that precipitate?
Well, that's going to go all the way to the Supreme Court. If the president defies the subpoena, refuses to comply with the subpoena, takes it to the court, that could go all the way to the Supreme Court. We don't know how that's going to play out. It could also take months and months and months. Excuse me.
George, thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
We
George,
really
great to have you.
appreciate it. As a reminder, George, as always, has a big show this morning. As we mentioned, he's going to speak exclusively with Jay Sekulow, a member of Trump's legal team, plus Governors John Kasich of Ohio and Jay Inslee of Washington, discussing the midterms and looking ahead to 2020. And Governor Kasich is going to weigh in on Trump's attack on LeBron James. It is all coming up on This Week right here on ABC. George, thank you again.
Thanks again, George. A busy show for you. We want to move to Portland, and there were tense hours as extreme right-wing protesters took to the streets, and they were met by counter-protesters.
ABC's Marcus Moore is there with a look at the heavy police presence to keep the peace. Marcus, good morning.
Paula and Eva, good morning to you. A much calmer scene here in Portland this morning after what was a full day of protest, and police arrested 4 people and at one point used rubber bullets to break up a crowd. Dueling protests hitting a boiling point in the streets of Portland. Alt-right and far-left groups clashing. Police turning to flashbangs and tear gas to disperse an unruly crowd. Police say some protesters threw rocks and bottles at officers. The tension in this city starting with a rally hosted by far-right group Patriot Prayer, the group's pro-Trump leader running for Senate.
Do you guys agree with me that the people at the top are laughing at us right now?
But far-left anti-fascist or Antifa groups attempting to drown out the Patriot Prayer rally in a city where Antifa's roots run deep. Tensions escalating with small scuffles throughout the day. A journalist injured during the protest left bleeding from the head. This morning, a look at the items Portland police say they seized as potential weapons, including shields donning Confederate flags, a knife, wooden rods, and at least 1 fireworks mortar. This is the 3rd Patriot Prayer rally this summer. At least 1 person was seriously injured when a demonstration turned violent in July. Police declared that protest a riot. And this weekend's demonstration in Portland comes nearly a full year after the Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville. The next day, an alt-right sympathizer ramming his car into a crowd of counter-protesters, killing 32-year-old Heather Heyer. And that was the real concern going into this weekend, that there perhaps might be a repeat of that violence. We learned overnight that only 3 people suffered injuries during this protest this weekend. Back to you.
I guess that is good news. Marcus, thank you very much. A lot of other news this morning. Ron is off this morning. He usually brings the headlines, but in his absence, we're going to do it for him. And we begin in Virginia with demonstrators taking to the streets outside the NRA headquarters in Fairfax, the group demanding stricter gun laws. Survivors of the Parkland school shooting showed up to remember one of their fellow students, Joaquin Guac Oliver, who was killed in the massacre and would have turned 18 on Saturday.
We move overseas to China, and chilling video to show you of a desperate mother seen tossing her 2 children right there out of their burning building to save their lives. Witnesses say she first threw a sheet down to the people below so they could catch her 3-year-old daughter and her 9-year-old son. The children survived. Sadly, though, the mother did not make it out in time and perished in the fire.
Well, back here in the U.S., 8 new members have been enshrined in the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. Bobby Beathard, Robert Brazile, Brian Urlacher, Randy Moss, Ray Lewis, Jerry Kramer, and Brian Dawkins all took the stage Saturday night for the honor, while former wide receiver Terrell Owens became the first living player to not attend the enshrinement ceremony, deciding instead to deliver a speech at his alma mater, the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga, where he dedicated the honor to anyone who has ever felt overlooked and misunderstood.
And finally, a new spin on ride sharing. Look at this guy in Michigan. He's giving $5 rides in his horse and buggy. He calls himself the Amish Uber. And his customers, who are also part of the large local Amish population there, say they're loving it. We should be clear, just for the lawyers, this is not really Uber. This gentleman, like many in the Amish community, does not have a cell phone, so you actually have to flag him down on the street. Awesome. He does say the horse is friendly and gives kisses.
I love it. Just $5. What a bargain.
$5, absolutely.
Wonder how far he'll go.
Probably not around Manhattan. So, yeah.
But I sure could have used that in yesterday's storms around here.
Right.
That was trying to dodge all that rain.
And speaking up, we're talking about the cleanup from those severe storms that slammed the Northeast this weekend.
Yeah, in Massachusetts, there was a tornado, did a lot of damage. 3 buildings in one town, they're condemned. While in the West, a new death was reported in that massive car fire. You have all of that this morning.
I mean, think about it. Normally, August is a very quiet month, but this weekend has been anything but. We just had all of that flooding on the East Coast, those fires on the West Coast, and now 2 New England tornadoes.
Overnight, these images of storms in the east hammering millions, even triggering scenes like this. A weekend of bad weather. Here, Webster, Massachusetts, an EF1 tornado with winds of up to 110 miles an hour barreling through. Buildings destroyed, leaving piles of bricks in the street, cars smashed under this rubble.
So the roof of this first building came off and part of it landed on top of her car.
Trees and power lines down, and this main street in shambles.
We probably got about 30 to 50 people right now that are homeless.
And in the west, the Ferguson fire near Yosemite growing overnight, now burning more than 81,000 acres. Also in California, the death toll from the Carr fire rising again. As that fire continues to ravage the state, 7 people now dead. Governor Jerry Brown asked for and received federal help. So far, more than 181,000 acres scorched.
Okay, good news for the East Coast. Those storms are out. Now we'll look at some very active storms that are going on in the Midwest. Already a severe thunderstorm watch, and watch this little bow echo pop up here. In those strong storms, that line, 80-mile-per-hour winds, an inch to 2.5-inch hail. Now you can see the storms have already run out of the box there, so I expect you'll get a brand new watch box a little bit east. Let's talk about where those storms are likely to roll today. Because of that cold front anywhere along them, you'll see them, it's about 8 states, from Cheyenne all the way up into Green Bay, really, the possibility of severe storms. We're looking really for what will be some damaging winds and the potential for some hail. We've already seen that this morning. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on out west. And when I mean out west, well, we'll just show you what that line of storms looks like this morning. But then we'll get out to what is Hurricane Hector. We're watching that little hurricane really get a little weaker this morning. It's still a Category 3. The deal with hurricanes in Hawaii is we expect this thing to go a little bit south of the islands there. Doesn't need to be a direct hit. Really can cause some problems with some flooding, rain, and some wind. So the bottom line here is small hurricane. We're still watching it very, very carefully for the islands of Hawaii. That's the weather around the nation. Here's what you can expect this morning.
And good morning. We are rain-free across the D.C. region this morning. I'm meteorologist Ryan Miller. Plenty of sunshine, a little cloud cover here out to the west, but that's really about it. It's going to be a nice day across the D.C. area, but very hot and humid this afternoon. Heading to the city open today, we anticipate sunshine, air temperatures into the lower 90s, and feels like temperatures approaching 100 degrees. Heat, humidity sticks with us here starting the work week with temperatures into the lower 90s. Best chance of rain comes in here on Wednesday with a cold front.
In the next half hour, we're going to take a look west because we've had a little break in the heat, but it comes back roaring this week, and that could make the situation much worse for the fires that are out there now and even new fires.
Hey, Sam, I have a question.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Not weather related, is that okay?
Don't answer it, actually. Ignore him. We warn you, don't answer
I was tricked into this already. I thought it was weather related.
I noticed you're wearing big boy shoes today, like a grown-up. But yesterday, see, there are your shoes. But yesterday you wore sneakers on set. Yesterday you wore, there they are. So what happened? Did somebody publicly shame you into getting new shoes?
Actually, I don't think anyone would have noticed. Call me silly, but you know there was an anchor who called it out to America. And I had to go get new shoes.
This one?
Yeah, I think his name is Dan Harris.
I don't want to name
he's just closing the circle on the public humiliation.
Exactly.
So
to do more today.
Did you buy those shoes yesterday?
Indeed, I did. So that I wouldn't be publicly shamed, however, that has not worked.
Because Dan Harris made fun of you.
Eva, he's loaded. Don't worry about it. He can handle it.
We love you, Sam.
Thank you, Sam. We love you. So much fun to pick on him.
Let's turn to some sports news. How about that? Tennis superstar Serena Williams, she dropped out of a tournament in Canada just days after tweeting about the struggles that she's facing being a working mom, and less than a month after an inspiring performance at Wimbledon. Less than a week after suffering the most lopsided defeat of her career, Serena Williams is putting redemption on pause, pulling out of next week's Rogers Cup tournament, citing personal reasons.
I think we can probably chalk it up to the fact that she's a new mother who had a very difficult childbirth and had very serious complications after that.
While the details behind her withdrawal are unknown, as a new mom, Williams has been open about the challenges she's faced returning to the court.
I had such a long struggle to come back, and it was